Getting tired of your lunch options?
Change it up with Little Caesars Hot and Ready Lunch Combo.
Wowee, the winds of change.
Get 4 slices of pepperoni deep dish pizza plus a 20-ounce drink now for only $4. Goodbye.
Where are you going?
Little Caesars, obviously.
Get the Little Caesars Lunch Combo, now just $4, hot and ready, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. weekdays. Available at participating locations for a limited time plus tax.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the recaps that we are doing with previous makers that we have talked to on the Makers of Minnesota. Our next guest is Heather Manley. She is the owner of Crooked Water Spirits. She's a serial entrepreneur. She also has an IT group called On Demand, and she makes one of my favorite spices, Heather's Dirty Goodness Original Seasoning, that I use in everything. And Heather, last time we talked to you was November 8th, 2016. We're sort of personal friends, so I can't believe it's been almost 2 years since we talked and how much Crooked Water has changed.
I know. We have, really in 2016, we were really just trying to get a few products moving, and then 2017 was cleaning up for another 5 products launching. So it's just been a lot of, it feels like years, and it also feels like minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talked last time, you had just gotten into the flights at Sun Country, and I know since then ownership has changed. So you're not still in flight, are you?
No, we're not. They've really pulled off everything local.
Yeah, such a bummer.
I'm not really sure how much we even have on there anymore. I know Shirley got back on due to it might have been riots in the streets, so that's great for them. But we didn't make the cut. They wanted a lot of things that we couldn't do, and really didn't support local. We had, we couldn't donate products, so it just wasn't a good fit for us. We're just too small to do that at this point.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I was just at Surdyk's actually before this call buying your pre-made bourbon old-fashioned mix called Manley's. Tell me about how that product came to be, because I'm just in love with it. It's spectacular.
Oh, thank you. Well, I love throwing parties, and one thing I started doing a few years ago was pre-batching. So I would pre-batch my Manhattans and my old-fashions and a few others, and that way when people wanted a really beautiful high-end cocktail, I'd already made it a few hours ago and would be able to, provide for 20 people a high-quality, like something that I felt really represented my capability but didn't force me to stay in the kitchen the entire time. And what I did and why I brought it to market was that there's really nothing out there that is high quality. And the difference between maybe an old-fashioned that you might see in the market, because there's a handful of them, is that they might use a really young whiskey. We only use 2-year plus aged bourbon. They'll use simple syrup, which is that clear syrup that can be great in some, but really we use Demerara, which is that beautiful turbino raw sugar that has all that kind of added soul to an old-fashioned. Some people try to make their own bitters, and I don't pretend to make great bitters. So I actually buy Angostoras by the gallons, and then I also use some local orange bitters in case you don't have an orange. And really, adhering to our principles of innovation, quality, and the experience, we stood by creating a really beautiful high-end old-fashioned. We price it at $44.99 retail, not what you might see in the market as $24.99 or sometimes even less. But you can, it's miles apart in difference in taste. And I want to make things that I want to drink.
It really is. And my mother-in-law is 84 and she loves a good old fashioned, but she won't make it herself. So she'll, my husband will make it for her, or I'll make it for her. And I bought this for her at the beginning of the summer, and she just was like crazy about it because she could just make her own drink, right?
I love it. And, some of us just don't want to think. We just want a damn drink.
Yeah,
right?
when
so
you want it, yes.
And give it to me in 15 seconds, and I don't want to get out 5 ingredients. Oh, crap, I'm out of Demerara. I got to make it now. And, do I even have sugar in the house?
Right.
So, and sometimes it can be really intimidating. Some people don't even know what Demerara is, and that's okay. You don't need to know. But, when I was doing some sampling in Williams-Sonoma with our spices, I was mixing original with cream cheese. And this woman came up to me, and she was just adorable. And she's like, okay, so I want this recipe. And I go, well, it's our original seasoning with whipped cream cheese. Use an 8-ounce packet and 1 to 2 tablespoons to taste. And she's like, no. I need to know, like, exactly how many tablespoons and what size of jar. And it's really so subjective. It's up to your personal preference. But in her mind, she couldn't wrap her head around the ambiguity of making that recipe. Right.
Right.
We all can kind of really get stuck up in analysis paralysis, and inevitably we just don't make it and go back to our old school ways.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I actually just did a recipe earlier today on a program that I'm working on, and I was like, and then you just throw this in and that in, and the person was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
I don't know. Heather, can you walk me through, this is a strange question, but you are involved in a lot of things. You have a IT company, you have the Heather's Dirty Goodness seasonings, you have Crooked Water Spirit. Can you literally walk me through a regular day, like from when you wake up to when you go to bed?
Sure. Yeah, I'm up every morning, probably 6:45, 7, and then I hate the world till about 7:30, and I get up with a coffee. I'm not a morning person, and then I just kind of hit my stride. I usually get into the office around 9 or 9:30, and the whole day is I'm a very if I was on Adderall or something, I'd probably be like president. I'd be amazingly focused, but my style is I go squirrel all day. And so I'll have like 8 screens open. I'll be dancing in and out of, on-demand group is my baby. So that's, I'd say, 70% of my day. And then it is Crooked Water, right? But there's just, but I don't feel guilty about it because I'm working till usually 9 or 10 at night. And then I'll shut it down, and then Rhett and I will watch Modern Family. There's, no technology in the bedroom, and just so we can kind of just hang out, have a glass of wine, and connect.
Yep.
But if we do watch a movie, I'm always working through it and just trying to get these little team tasks through and hopefully build, these businesses to the point where I can have additional employees. Crooked Water has one outside of me and several people that are really giving some of their blood, sweat, and tears to help get it off the ground. But it's hustle time, and it's been like that for about a year and a half.
It's really interesting to hear you talk about this, because I was at a event earlier this week where there were a lot of entrepreneurs, and many of them had we'll call it their day job, and then their branded food companies that they're trying to start on their own. And they're like, oh, it's so hard to finish, an 8-hour day at my regular job and then start on my other business. Do you have any advice for entrepreneurs that are like trying to do double duty like you?
It is just a grind and a hustle, but hopefully it pays off, right? I mean, with Heather's Dirty Goodness, at year 5, I was just really, I realized there was more opportunity in the business case with Crooked Water, but I had a lot of people that loved Dirty Goodness. So instead of trying to invest and get it to take off, understanding also it's a very dominated marketplace, I decided to pull back, and I closed down 60 of our stores with Cub and focused only on Kowalski's because they've been a phenomenal partner of mine, and then online. And that just reduced a lot of the burden. It kept the company alive where I can always come back to it or bring in, if anyone wanted to come in and join me and take it to another level, I'd welcome that. But you just can't do it all, right? So then you really got to focus on what can you do now, what is closest to the dollar, what is the lowest hanging fruit, develop that, and then move on to the one that has a little bit more ramp up to it, right?
When you look at other entrepreneurs that are like getting started, what is a mistake that you think they make? Like, do you ever talk to anyone and you're just like, oh man, if you just did it this way?
I think a lot of people put hurdles in front of themselves.
What do you mean by that?
I have no shame in my game, and I'll call anyone and ask for a meeting. I think that a lot of people think that their email or their call won't get answered, or they think that nobody's calling Whole Foods and asking them to carry it, and they don't think that that's how it works. and that you have to maybe struggle at the farmer's market to take off. You don't. You just have to be brave enough and confident enough to hear 50 no's for every yes.
It's so funny you say that, because in this entrepreneur group that I was in, I was talking to a woman who wanted to launch a product, and we talked about it for about 10 minutes, and she was like, I'm working my other job, and I just don't know, and I've been thinking about it for all this time. And I looked at her, and I just said, because I literally had just met her, I said, we're not really friends yet, but we will be friends. So please take this in the spirit as someone who would be your friend. I said, you need to work on your self-confidence, because all I'm hearing from you is all of the reasons you can't do something, and I'm not hearing enough of how you could. And unless you work through that with your squad or your family or whoever you need to work through that with, you're going to be walking into these doors and you're just not going to be mentally armed on how to be prepared.
Right? And if you don't feel confident and you aren't exuding passion and fake it till you make it.
Totally.
Attitude, it's not going to actually transcend to the buyer. Like with Kowalski's, I went in there and I had such great support from the director of operations, but she only helped me figure out how to do it. And when I went back to her, she's like, oh, no, hon, I'm not the one that buys it. Go to the managers.
Right.
And I went to the head manager, and I didn't have more than one jar available. I had one jar, and the only reason the jar looked actually done is because I had a sample proof that I was able to stick onto the jar, but I didn't even have anything produced. And I went in there acting like I had a warehouse full of spices, and that these were the best damn spices he's ever had. And then even standing by it, right? He then on the spot gave me the order for all the stores, but he'd never tried it. So I actually declined the order. And I said, I want to know that you and your team love it and support it. So I want you all to try it first, however you want to, on your off time, and then confirm the order. And what was really cool is that not only did they do that, they gave me back some feedback that actually made me adjust. Like, for instance, my rosemary from longer cuts to very fine, so it didn't poke people in the teeth once it was cooked. But it was just, it was really ensuring that they had my back, because anyone can get a first order. What really matters are the reorders.
That is so true. And some of the things that you as the maker stress out over, like, whether it's going to be in glass packaging or plastic packaging, like some of that, by the time you get to the buyer level, they tell you how they want it. They tell you what they need, right?
Yeah, and you actually, my biggest, like one of my learning lessons with Dirty Goodness is I should have gone and I should have sat back and really thought, well, not only do I want Kowalski's to carry me, but who else? Like Target and Cub. But you know what? Cub consumers aren't necessarily going to spend $12 or whatever. I had 8-ounce jars that were plastic. They're not going to spend over $10 on a jar like a Kowalski's consumer would. And so that's why we actually went from I think it was 8-ounce jars to 4-ounce jars, because then I could hit more stores at a reasonable price point than hitting just the high end, because that is not a scalable business. There's not enough of them out there.
Right. And it's funny because you wouldn't learn that until after you've kind of been down the road. So I love that you share this story with me, because other people listening to this podcast that maybe are a few years behind you can maybe get some benefits of your wisdom. Heather, how do you stay inspired? Do you listen to podcasts? Do you read Fast Company? Do you watch television? What do you do?
I am the worst, Stephanie. I don't read and I don't watch TV.
So how do you just, is that because you don't have time and you just work?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of TV. I don't like sitting in one spot unless I'm building something, right? So what inspires me is with Crooked Water, we just got, we are selling these holiday packs that are 3 200 mils of our bourbons and our Manley's Old Fashions for this holiday, because we just slayed it last year with launching it in November with Manley's Old Fashioned. And, and just hustling through, we went from thinking we had 140 cases to we sold over 400. And things like that inspire me. It is a constant. So I constantly think failure's right around the corner every day. I think it's all going to end tomorrow. And that's what keeps pushing me. But then the orders like that, and we opened 80 stores in Arizona with Safeway with our Sundog Gin. those kind of things are daily affirmations that I'm creating things that people want, and inspiring me to continue going forward.
Keep going, yeah.
We're really in the beginning phase. Like, I haven't taken a cent out of my company since I started it. It's all reinvest. So I'm still really hungry. I'm still really exhausted. I'm still in the full hustle, and I hope next year we can not only add another employee, but have some sort of profit at the end of the year where we can invest in either new products or you know, growing our barrel program.
Well, Heather, it's been great to catch up with you. I can't believe 2 years have gone by. I encourage everybody to buy your products. You have the vodka, you have the Sundog Gin, you have the...
we have 9 products now.
God, what is the Navy Strength Gin? Is that...
So we have the vodka simple, then we have H Vodka Low Grand, we have the Sundog, which is New American Citrus Gin, we have a Biff, which is like the ballsy London Dry, we have a quad cask finished apple brandy, we have a smoked bourbon Old Hell, we have a port cask finished bourbon Kings Point, and then we have Regatta Rye, which is a multi-year aged rye that we put in rum casks from Barbados, and then we have Manley's Old Fashioned.
Okay, I don't think I've had your rye, so I'm going to have to check that out.
It's just launched. I was actually going to do a blog on it today.
Okay, well, we will look for that. Where can we find your blog, Heather?
crookedwaterspirits.com/news.
All right. Well, thank you for catching us up to date. We will talk with you soon.
Thanks so much, Steph.
Thanks, Heather. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
At Farmers Insurance, we know the sound of a perfect hot air balloon landing. And a less than perfect one. Seen it, covered it. Click for more.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. An F-16 pilot having hydraulic problems with his aircraft managed to parachute to safety as the plane smashed into a warehouse east of Los Angeles. Fire Captain Fernando Herrera.
That pilot landed in the March Air Force Base area, in the base itself.
Amazingly, there were no serious injuries after the plane hit the building. Alabama executed a man last night for his role in killing 4 people after an argument over a pickup truck. Tennessee executed a man who killed his wife. Reporters couldn't see the execution, but AP correspondent Travis Lawler says
we could hear sounds, including singing, that Mr. Johnson's attorney says was him singing a hymn.
Answering a reporter's question, President Trump said he hopes the U.S. is not on a path to war with Iran. Mr. Trump has dismissed suggestions that any of his advisors are trying to push him into a conflict. I'm Rita Foley.